Hey, number ones, welcome to Metatron's Academy. I found something really impressive. Check this out. Now, it's not the first time that I find something like this, but this is particularly interesting. Wiki Tongues, Stephen speaking Sicilian. Look, I've heard a lot of people speak Sicilian, but usually they're not called Stephen. They're called Turi, Salvatore, Salvo, Francesco, Michele. So Stephen kind of caught my attention. Let's go. Let's see if I can. I'm native, for those who don't know, here for the first time. Let's have a look. See if I can understand him. Well, no, wait. Let's read it. This video was recorded by Stephen Campo in Independence, Louisiana, a U.S.-American town with a large Sicilian population. I did not know that. I'll have to go visit. Sicilian is spoken by as many as 5 million people, primarily in the Italian island of Sicily, as well as part of mainland regions of Calabria, Campania, and Apulia. Right, but that's not Sicilian. It's Sicilian is spoken in Sicily. It has, like, no one from Apulia, meaning Puglia, would say, I speak Sicilian. So he's an American of a Sicilian descent. Fantastic. Let's go.
Sapere a tutti, io sono Stefano Campo, siculo-americano di la terza generazione.
It's okay. Is there translations for you? Because I do understand him. That's cool. This sounds really good. He said he's a Sicilian American of third generation, which is impressive. Let me see if there are English subtitles for you. Unfortunately not. Maybe auto-translate. I can tell you if it's correct translation or not, so let's just do that. All right, let's start it again. I love this.
Sapere a tutti, io sono Stefano Campo, siculo-americano di la terza generazione. Nascivo in America.
Yep.
I miei genitori nascono Capuro, ma sono figli di immigrati siciliani. Tutti i miei nanni vennero di Villafranca Sicola.
I think he's saying not all my parents. I think he said all of my grandparents are from Villafranca in Sicily. And yeah, the translation is pretty good so far. It sounds to me like Agrigento a little bit, because he sounds really good. I'm on a third generation. This guy was brought up speaking English and he sounds like this. That's impressive. But it's a very different type of Sicilian to mine, because I'm from Palermo. My Sicilian has a lot more vowels. The consonants are different as well. I'm expecting now that he's going to switch. He's going to palatalize some of the T's into D's, because that's what they do in that area. I don't. Regardless, I can kind of... So it's different to the way I speak Sicilian, but it's perfectly understandable to me, because I've heard this a lot of times from friends from Agrigento and that area. Let's go.
Da Agrigento.
Oh, he actually did. Okay, I paused it right before. Yeah, I didn't know where Villafranca was, I'll be honest with you. It's probably a small town.
E stavano in Louisiana, no Stato d'America.
See the way he said Stato? I would never pronounce the S as a sh when followed by a T. But that's my accent. Cool.
Quando ero un picciriddu.
Quando ero un picciriddu. Sì, quando ero un picciriddu io parlavo pure siciliano tutto il tempo, con gli amici. Un siciliano si parla a scuola. E poi si parla... Come si parla siciliano? Cato famiglia.
Io mi ricordo anziani che parlavano siciliano.
Parlavano! I've never heard an American. So that's actually an interesting phonetic aspects of some areas of Sicily. This is more of a... His Sicilian sounds more rural to me. And as opposed to Sicilian spoken in the cities, in the large cities. Anyways, one thing that he's doing is that he's pronouncing the R that is found in the middle of a word, in this case, as a Z. That's the R, by the way. Because while generally speaking in Italian, the R is rolled, R, and it is also rolled in Sicilian depending on the versions, but oftentimes when... There are some speakers of Sicilian, more in rural areas, that when the R is in the middle, or sometimes even at the beginning, they will turn it into, basically pronounce it like a J in French. And in fact, it's a common aspect with some varieties of Mandarin, which also pronounce beginning R's as a R, like in Ren, instead of Ren. Fascinating aspect that only happens in Sicily as far as I know. So like instead of Rosso, you would say Rosso. Rosso. It's very Sicilian to pronounce it like that. Massive announcement. Check this out. You're gonna love it. As many of you know, or at least I think you know, I've been writing a book, my new journey into becoming an author. I've mentioned this on a few videos and on X, but this book was indeed crowdfunded. Now, any person who has donated or will donate to the crowdfunding will receive a full audiobook, and this is crowdfunding exclusive. So, as a way to say thank you to the people that have donated and supported my dream of becoming an author. If you have a minimum of $5 donation, you will receive the entirety of the audio file of the book, recorded by me with my voice, no AI involved, as a crowdfunding exclusive reward. This applies retroactively, so for all 262 donors that I've had so far, you'll get this, and anyone who decides to donate $5 or more, thank you very much, never expected, always appreciated, then you will be guaranteed a audio file of the book by the end of the crowdfunding campaign. Important, once the crowdfunding campaign is over, this audiobook version will not be made for sale. So this is, once again, crowdfunding exclusive. It's a perk. If you're interested in the audiobook, click the link in the description, and thank you so much.
Estu sono divino durò fino a quando aveva 11 anni. A sto punto, purtroppo, tutte le mie nanni erano morti.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Another interesting thing is that the way he said unfortunately in Sicilian, it's very similar to Italian, it's just a pronunciation aspect, the divergence. Because in Italian it's purtroppo. But Sicilian, oftentimes, when there is a T and an R, what happens is that we tend to pronounce it as a ch, which is kind of similar to what happens in English when you say train or travel. Yeah, it's similar in Sicilian. We do that with TR and DR. So imagine if I were to read the words train and the words dragon with an Italian accent, I would say train, dragon, right? Because tr and dr are the standard pronunciation in Italian. Sicilians, we can do that, and we often do, depending on the level of literacy. You have Sicilians that use this normally, tr and dr, and then occasionally revert to the Sicilian version when they speak Sicilian. That would be me. Or there are Sicilians that exclusively use the Sicilian version of pronunciation of these sounds, consonant clusters, even when they speak Italian. And that's the tr pronounced ch and the dr pronounced j. So if you were to say train, treno, in Sicilian it's utreno, and dragon in Sicilian, in Italian it's drago, in Sicilian it becomes giago, udrago, which I thought was interesting, and he's doing that right.
Eppure la lingua siciliana si io in oscuro perché nudo ne parlava più.
Nudo.
Tanto non era una cosa gianna o troppo importante per me, era Nico. Ma dopo tempo a cominciare a pensare, cos'è no siciliano? Lo mio posto di nascita.
No, he said, I started to think, who am I? What is Sicilian? Or, yeah, that's what he was asking now. Perfectly understandable. 100%. 100%. So he's very proficient. Impressive. I mean, I'm not used to foreigners speak Sicilian, even more so. A rural, like, small town near Agrigento variety. Man, that's random.
È una cosa. Ma la banna d'origine.
La banna. Man, I haven't heard this. Nata banna. Wow.
È un'altra cosa.
Un'altra cosa, sì.
Già su mente aveva la voglia di sapere più che significa casogno siciliano. In inglese, eppure in siciliano, c'è un dito. L'uomo che non sa dove viene, non sa dove va.
L'uomo che non sa per dove viene, non sa per dove va. I would say viene, because I'm from Palermo and I add a I on a lot of things that they don't in other areas of Sicily. L'uomo che non sa per dove viene, non sa per dove va, is how I would say it. So you notice that the intonation is different because people in this area, in the center, have a very specific, and south, a very specific type of intonation. People in the east of Sicily have a rising terminal, and a lot of their sentences rise up as if they were questions. And people on the west side of Sicily, like me, have an intonation that sounds like we don't care and we are lazy. So like, unisaiano is how I would say it, because ta-ta-ta-ta. It's like the way we sound. He doesn't have that because it's a different type of Sicilian. But then if you go to Eastern Sicilian, whether it be Syracuse, Catania, Messina, then they have the rising terminals, something like, well, I can't do it very well because I'm not from there, but just to give you an approximation and then refer to people who are actually from there, something like, facciamo mezzanotte politico, so like, da-da-da-da, it goes up. But for me, da-da-da-da, is my intonation, like Corleone, Palermo, Trapani, all the West has this strong dip, if you will, where intonation goes down dramatically. I carrettieri, look at that. It's like, yeah, it's a very typical Sicilian. I love the flag, of course. I have that somewhere here.
Sti parole mi fece impressione. Poi mi metto a cercare col computer, l'internet, per qualcuno che voleva insegnarmi la
So one thing about what he's doing now is also, you can tell, is mimicking older people. Because the way he said internet, internet, o computer, internet. So the fact that he's adding these vowels at the end, the current generation doesn't do it anymore. So even me, to be honest, that's something that my dad would do, and grandparents, they would add vowels to words of foreign origin. But like I would say, te connettisi a internet, internet. I don't say internetti, because adding the E at the end is something that like older people did, because of the fact that they weren't used to foreign sounds as much as the current generation is, even more so. A lot of Sicilians now, even if they're 14, 15, it's impressive. Their English is really good. Even my generation, it wasn't. Not at all. No one could speak English. And my parents, not a chance to even try and mimic it.
cultura, specialmente la lingua, perché soprattutto è il cuore della cultura.
Yeah.
Incontrai tanti buoni amici che mi hanno dato aiuto, e sta generosità non posso scordare mai. A cominciando da zero, non potrei parlare, scrivere o leggere né una frase, ma con pazienza e 4 anni stai insegnando tanticchia.
You know, 4 years and he knows words, antiquia, a little bit. Very good. Like I feel like I want to tell him, because a few words he used, sometimes Sicilians Italianize. And I personally like it even more when we don't swap. We don't Italianize. We just use the original Sicilian words. But I feel bad telling him, like, oh, by the way, instead of using that, use this one, because it sounds completely different from Italian. I feel bad because it could be that's how we do it in Palermo, but maybe the way he's saying it is appropriate and correct for his area. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to influence it. Also, because as of now, you can tell where his family is originally from. So I don't think he should mix in Sicilian from other language groups, because they are different language groups, by the way. They're influenced by different languages, and over time, it's fantastic. Like, if I were to speak Sicilian to him, I would speak my variety. Would he understand me? That'd be something I'd be willing to try, if he's willing. I could just use Sicilian. We could try. That could be fun. Anyways, I'm very impressed.
Con l'aiuto di tanti cristiani e di Dio.
Okay, so this, when he said, with the help of many Christians and God, do remember that Christians, the way he used it, is correct in Sicilian, because Sicilian uses Cristiano to mean person. And that's in fact something I think Muslims do too, I was told once. Like, they say a Muslim to mean a person. In Sicily, being a very traditional area and very, very religious, what happens is that we say "Vidi un cristiano antura," which means a little while ago I saw a person. It just means person.
Queste sono le cose che faccio per insegnare. Leggio gli articoli scritti in siciliano e tradotti in inglese. Talio l'episodio di Supermundi in...
I love that he knows taleo. Taleare is to look, to watch, to see in Sicilian, rather than guardare in Italian. So in Italian I would say guardo la televisione, and in Sicilian you can say taleo a televisione. Or...
In particolare quelli che hanno i sottotitoli in siciliano e italiano.
Okay.
Studio la poesia siciliana.
Beautiful.
E un buon amico mio, Alessio Pate, mi aiuta spesso. Parlo con diversi cristiani in Facebook o Skype.
See, he says Facebook or Skype. This makes it sound like an old person. Like someone like in their 70s or something, because younger generation doesn't do it anymore, and not even mine.
Ogni tanto uno possa domandare le domande a Igi. Mi insegnai canzoni siciliane.
Man, I love that.
Tanti vuoti, ancora e ancora.
Gnasi coinarura. Okay, learn this one. Cushi. I know that that's Palermo, to call everyone a cousin. I get it, but still. Cushi. Si coinarura. Coinarura in Palermo, Sicilian, means hard horns, and it means you're really cool. You've got hard horns. You're really cool. Kushi sikko in narura. To give you a negative one instead, if I see someone and I'm like, oh, that's like a thug, then I say, kide malakaine. Si malakaine. Malakaine. Bad meat. That's how we call people who like basically criminals, thugs, street, yeah, kide malakaine. Sakura. Sakura means be careful. Stai attento in Italian. Fai attenzione. In Sicilian, sakura. Accura. Accura che kide malakaine. So be careful because that guy is bad meat. I love the expression bad meat. But he's not. He's not malakaine. Chi sei coi narura. Coi narura così.
Ancora, per praticare le suone e la posizione della lingua evoca, per parlare più chiaro e autentico.
You sound pretty authentic to me, my friend.
E tutto questo faccio con computer, no all'università o in persona magari. Quindi la domanda assume sta forma. Perché voglio insegnarmi il siciliano? In Sicilia la lingua siciliana c'è,
Sì.
ma in America le tracce delle siciliane e le sonne di sua lingua stanno scomparendo a picca picca.
But I didn't even know it was present. That's all. Well, you're telling me we're losing it. You're losing Sicilian. I had no idea there was any Sicilian. But could you imagine if I go to this town in Louisiana and I enter a restaurant and I'm like, "Usci, ma porare ma murunu paninu capo icchietta che sta morendo rupetito." And then that would be amazing. Probably they won't understand it though because Palermo Sicilian can get really, I don't know, can they, if you're from Sicily somewhere else, did you understand me? Così mo porare un panino capo icchietta che sta morendo rupetito. Mi fai 4.000 inciane ammottonate. I have no idea if they could understand me, but could you imagine even for a moment if I go there, I'm not even, because when I go to New York, Little Italy, I do use Italian. It's fun. Not everyone understands, and if they don't, I switch back to English, but sometimes I'm like, say Italiano. It's fine. It's some, Italian descent, can still understand a little bit. Un caffè, per favore, un cappuccino, grazie, buonasera. Right. But man, doing this in Sicilian, assietati 5 minuti, non ti preoccupare, non ti faccio niente. Assietati. Poi tai sei piccoli. Again, Palermo Sicilian, sir, so don't imitate.
Le tradizioni e tutto. Perché isso voglio essere una parte di chi che salva la cultura
Bravo.
per i nostri figli.
Nice.
Dopotutto, sogno siciliano.
So since he knows the word figlio, for children and child.
Sto pensiero profondo mi viene spesso.
Ok.
Me ne andavo, passavo il mare, 3 volte per mia. Senza soldi, senza pane, senza famiglia, senza un'idea chi va a fare domani.
Mm-hmm.
Per questo ho il dovere di insegnarmi siciliano, in onore del suo sacrificio per mia.
Okay, I really appreciate that. The connection he has with his family, with his culture, and because it's his choice, I appreciate that. I am going to say, though, my son Alexander, who will be born soon, I want to raise him bilingual because, of course, his first language is going to be English. But I'm teaching him Italian, I'm going to be honest with you. I'll teach him a couple of words in Sicilian just for fun, to remember the connection. Also because, I want him to be able to speak, apart from the majority of people possible, which is going to be Italian, the language. Also, for work, for possible, unless AI takes over completely the language spectrum. But if there is anything that he could do with that, Italian is going to give him a lot more opportunities. And last but not least, I want him to be able to speak to my dad, who's from the north, and still to this day doesn't understand, and that side of the family. Anyways, I'm not teaching my sons to speak Sicilian. I'm teaching you do you, okay? So if you want to teach your children to speak Sicilian, whatever. But I'm just saying, I wouldn't do that. I would personally teach, unless you have a strong cultural call like him, that's fine. But we're teaching him Italian. He's going to be bilingual, Italian-American. And then, if when he's like 15, 16, he already speaks Italian perfectly and tells me, Dad, I really want to learn more Sicilian. Then I'm sitting down with him and I'm teaching him all the Sicilian he wants. But I will always make sure that he knows the same words in Italian before I teach them in Sicilian, because he needs to know Italian first. And he needs to be able to switch between the two, which is how we learn it in Sicily, by the way. There isn't a single child in this day and age, that only speaks Sicilian. There are some that you can tell that speak Sicilian as the major language, And usually that's not great, because when they speak Italian, they butcher it. They speak it fluently because they're natives, but they have such a thick accent, and Sicilian influences their grammar so much that they sound very uneducated at that point. So I want my son to speak Italian fluently, very well, and then if he wants to learn a little Sicilian, Dad will be more than happy to do it. And that's where I stand with that.
Bene, allora, sapete che sogno amante con la lingua siciliana.
Mhm.
E io scrissi una poesia
Scrissi.
dedicata alla lingua siciliana.
Wow.
Ecco.
Okay, so he wrote a poem. If you want to check out the poem, because it's his creation, I'll put a link to the description so you can go and watch him. I don't want to react to the poem. I appreciate you, though, whoever you are, Steven Campo. Campo meaning field, by the way, in Italian. Thank you very much for learning my language, Sicilian, even though it's not the exact same variety. I really appreciate that, and keep it up. I really appreciate that. That was surprising. Very cool. Ne vediamo così. Namo vis. If you're enjoying this video so far, please take a moment to check out my Patreon page. With as little as a $5 support, you can help us ensure that we can continue to produce high quality and high researched content. And at the same time, you get access to polls, extra videos, unlisted streams, and much more. Thank you so much.